Hello everyone, Parmesan here, bringing you guys another video. And right before I get into the topic, I want to talk about the gameplay. Just like a little quick note here, I never used DMRs like at all, so it was kind of a new experience, and it was actually pretty interesting. And at first I don't really play the objective all too much, and then I do, and we ended up coming back and winning, and I actually did really good with my DMR. This is like the first time I used one. And getting on to the topic, as you can see by the title and the thumbnail, it's which Call of Duty had the longest life cycle, and I'm going to go through and just kind of give my own opinions on each of them. And although COD 4 was one of my favorites, like the campaign was really good and I really liked the multiplayer, it got hacked like very soon after World at War made its release, and like ever since then it's kind of been broken. And actually then I think developers actually had to pay a lot of money to update games for both Sony and Microsoft, so I think that's why they really didn't get fixed. But the PC life cycle and how fun the game remained after launch, it was just phenomenal. And I have it on the PC, and there's like modded servers, and then you can find normal matches, and they're actually extremely fun. You can't really do that on the console because every match you join is either really like badly modded or just it's just bad. Like you can't really do anything, because the last time I actually played COD 4, I got into a lobby, I got a kill and it deranked me, and I could not rank up ever since then. So that game's really fun, but I don't think it had the longest life cycle. It's definitely one of my favorite Call of Duties, though. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not dissing on the game or anything, but it definitely did not have the longest life cycle, just because of the hackers and modders, and the developers really didn't care too much after the game. After World at War came out, they kind of dropped support. So moving on to the next one, which is the World at War. That's one of my favorite Call of Duty games ever created. I really enjoyed the campaign. Zombies was just a plus. That came out of nowhere with that. And I just very much enjoyed that game, and I really had that one game mode that everybody once brought back, War, and I played that all the time. I thought it was really fun, the weapons and everything. And even though there was a lot of World War II based games before that in the Call of Duty series, Call of Duty 4 being the first modern, it was really nice to kind of go back there after a year of playing Call of Duty 4, and they really did good. The gore in that game was just really unexpected too for a Call of Duty game, and I kind of missed the gore, like how you can blow people's arms off and stuff, but it wasn't really that big of a deal when all the other Call of Duties just decided to drop that. But as terms go for the life cycle, it wasn't really that long. It lasted as long as Call of Duty 4, and the replay value in the game was at an all-time high for COD 4 and World at War, because I remember playing those games like for the complete year until the next one came out. And this leads us to MW2, and MW2, it was one of my favorites at first, and then something happened and Infinity Ward really didn't take care of that game. They fixed a few patches, and then the spawn tubes came in, and the overall like death streak started happening. People started abusing a lot of stuff, and people started boosting for nukes. That's where the attack insurgent came in, the one-man army exploit, and everything started happening there. So the life cycle of that game wasn't really long at all, and people started abusing it. Infinity Ward didn't really take care of that game much, and it just kind of went downhill from there. So in terms of life cycle and how long that game survived before it got abused, it's probably the worst, and it's still one of my favorite games. I really enjoy the campaign. I think that's actually one of my favorite campaigns. I actually played that campaign the most, I believe. I beat it so many times, and I just really liked it. It was just one of my favorites. The multiplayer, like I said, was one of the best until the exploits happened and Infinity Ward didn't care about the game, and they stopped support for that game actually very soon. Actually, I think before the next Call of Duty was even announced, they stopped supporting that game. They released the 2 map packs, and that was it. Like, they didn't really care. And this brings us to Black Ops 1. And in terms of the entire game, it's good. The life cycle is very phenomenal in Black Ops 1. Treyarch actually cracked down on all the modders and everything, and they actually cared about the game. They took care of it. They released the 4 map packs, and the zombie maps alone were outstanding, and I think it has one of the highest ones. It's either gonna be Black Ops 1 or another one that I'm gonna mention later on, but it's just Black Ops 1, you know, nobody can hold a light to it in terms of how well they supported it. They took care of the modders. You can't really join any lobbies that are modded, and I don't think I've ever did that in that game. There was at one point in time where hackers were kind of going around there, but a few hours they were gone. So they definitely took care of that game, and I think if they didn't have to work on Black Ops 2 right after, they would have obviously worked on the game a lot more and probably added in a few more things. And then this brings us to MW3, and this is probably my least favorite Call of Duty like ever made. I really did not like MW3. I didn't like how they developed it. I really didn't like how it was basically MW2, but just very little modified. I just didn't like their approach on it. And although they did kind of support the game the entire way through, they didn't patch any of the big things. They didn't really fix a lot of the stuff until near the end of its life cycle. And then like right after Black Ops 2 came out, they just kind of stopped. They didn't really care about it. And to this day, I think if I were to play any other Call of Duty game except that one, I would. Even if it was like one of the first ones that didn't really have multiplayer, like the very first one. It's just, I personally think that's the worst Call of Duty ever created, and a lot of people will disagree with me on that, but I just did not like MW3. And the life cycle was decent on it. I'm not saying it like the life cycle was dead instantly, but like within a few months you knew if you liked the game or hated it, and you can't really say about the other ones. All the other Call of Duties you can play forever and just have the best experience ever. So MW3, when I played it, I instantly knew within the first 2 months that I did not really like the game. Although I played it a lot with my friends, that's just because that's all they played, I really didn't like it. And moving on to Black Ops 2, I think this Call of Duty has the longest life cycle. I mean, they're still updating it, they're still releasing personalization packs for the game, and their support was phenomenal for the game. It was actually the best Call of Duty game I think we've gotten in the history of Call of Duty. They balanced it, they made tweaks, and they actually listened to the community, and that's something we've never really seen in Call of Duty before. And Treyarch took it to the next level, and they really supported the game, and they're still supporting it. Actually, there was an update for it the other day. Like, they're just gonna keep supporting it until their next game comes out, and if they think something's overpowered, they're just gonna keep patching it until their next Call of Duty. And you can't really say about any other game in the Call of Duty franchise, so I think that game has the best life cycle and the longest one. And then that leaves us to this game, and who knows if the life cycle is going to carry on, but it's definitely not one of my favorite Call of Duties. I think the competitive side is pretty good. They just need to fix a few things. They need to add in double-sided domination and actually listen to the feedback. But this game's pretty good. It's just not my favorite, and I think Black Ops 2 has the longest life cycle. So, as always, I hope you guys really enjoyed the video. I just wanted to kind of talk about Call of Duty and how much the developers actually cared about some of them. And in the end, I think Black Ops 2 is the best Call of Duty. But as always, have a really nice day. If you're new, subscribe. If you like the content, please like it. And peace.